It is assumed that you are giving your consent to share the recording of this meeting on the social media pages, and all the participants are requested to kindly mute themselves. So, beginning, a very good morning to all present here. This is Anisha Kalra from your very own college, Kinoraman. We have all gathered here today, virtually, of course, for the first official alumni meet of the brilliant graduates of our college on the eve of Founders Day. It is a very momentous day as we have a golden opportunity of meeting our graduate peers after such a long period and together hold a panel discussion. I'm sure that we all have been eagerly waiting for this day since the announcement of KM Alma Connect 2021 as celebrating the spirit of being graduated and meeting our former classmates is a sheer pleasure. With this, I officially welcome our golden graduates and request Seema ma'am to kindly hold the stage.
Dear all, good afternoon. Generally speaking, we try to celebrate every occasion with our nears and dear ones, be it a birthday, a celebration of life, or a business networking event. With this thought in mind, we decided to celebrate KMC Founders Day by connecting with our alumni and inviting our young students who passed out recently to share their experience on journeys they have undertaken to announce to the world that they have arrived. The Kinoraman College Alumni Network has been formed recently because of the invaluable guidance and incessant efforts of our principal ma'am, who thought of celebrating Founders Day in a unique way. We thought of having a week-long celebration of Founders Day from January 31st to February 26, 2021, with its alumni achievers in different fields. We decided to adopt celebrating our young alumni achievers as the theme for the same. This has been done because we at KMC Network very well understand that engaging, motivating, and celebrating our young achievers is very, very important, because India is a young country that is likely to reach its peak by 2025, and a quarter of the world's total workforce is expected to be in India. It was estimated that the average Indian will be 29 years old compared to 37 in China and the United States, 45 in Western Europe, and 48 in Japan by the year 2020. Therefore, this will make India one of the youngest nations in the world. We believe that it is this youth which will help in putting our nations and global growth back on track after the coronavirus pandemic. As part of the Founders Day week celebrations, Kinoraman College Alumni Network plans to organize panel discussions and speaker sessions wherein our own alumni will be throwing some light on their journeys beyond KMC and what life has taught them. How many of you will agree with me that though our degrees work for us during our lifetime, yet our continued involvement plays a crucial role in our career and our community? We think that these events will not only help build quality human capital by ensuring learning continuity or by providing a knowledge sharing platform, but will also definitely serve as a tool to overcome the academic pressures and mental anxieties experienced by our young students during this pandemic. Besides, we at KMC not only want to celebrate the achievements of our young alumni, but we also want to encourage, foster, and promote close relations among the young alumni themselves and with their very young juniors in KMC through this network. We aim at providing a forum for the alumni for exchange of ideas on academic, cultural, literary, and various socio-economic issues with KMC family. Moreover, through this platform, we are giving them an opportunity to acknowledge their gratitude to their alma mater and to have a continuing interest and loyalty to KMC. On the eve of Founders Day, We would like to welcome our panelists, Shweta, Sakshi, Divya, and Keshav in KMC Alma Connect 2021 event. And we want to celebrate their achievements together on the eve of our Founders Day. Now I request our principal ma'am, Professor Biva Singh Chauhan, to kindly deliver her welcome address. Over to you, ma'am.
I think ma'am is muted.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Seema Joshi, for this invaluable overall image and data that you have given of the youth in the country. And our college and our young alumni and students are a part of this very, very engaging and dynamic group. And the colleges, institutes of higher educations are at the advantage of being in touch with this group of young people all times. And I must say that all of us do understand that these institutions like Karurimal College, they actually run for the young. And we are there to cater to the needs of the youth, our students, our alumni, and of course, later, our senior alumni as well. And it is this, with this idea in mind, actually, that this is being organized. I have always felt that there is a big gap in Karurimal College despite its extremely versatile calendar. This gap has been the weak connect between our alumni and our present students and the teachers. And it is with this idea of connecting the alumni with ourselves and our present students that we started conversing. I and Dr. Seema Joshi started conversing and working on a schedule which was pushed by our youthful alumni. And we are here today. I think, like I was saying before the conference began, this date has to be marked as very significant in our calendar because it is the first time that an alumni connect program is being held at KMC. We are going to celebrate our 67th Foundation Day tomorrow, that is 1st of February. And the remarkable thing is that it has taken us that many years to come to this point. And we would not have reached this point if teachers like Dr. Seema Joshi and several students, alumni had not taken this seriously, not made it a passion for themselves and bring it to this point. So on behalf of your own college, I actually am addressing you with a great sense of wonder. And I am still wonderstruck at the fast pace at which this program has been organized. And it has left me wondering why it has taken me more than 2.5 years to reach this point. But I suppose one has to become familiar with the college, the alumni, but it has been my constant attempt. And I must here confess, some failed attempts actually to put the alumni together. And obviously there was something which was missing in the earlier attempts, and which is, I think, our 21st century young alumni. This, I'm very clear, has become possible because of their involvement, and it is this and they actually that have pushed us and pushed this program to begin now. So I'm extremely grateful to all our students. I'm very, very grateful to Dr. Seema Joshi, who actually took the lead and brought them together under this one umbrella. I wish I could have named everybody who is involved in organizing this program, but that won't be possible because I know names of some of our alumni. I perhaps don't even know about many of the other alumni who have been involved in putting this program together. So I must apologize to them. What we do plan to do is to put the record in writing. We deeply recognize and appreciate the effort that each one of you have put into this, and bringing together the alumni and our present student, and we call it KMC Alumni Connect. This is a kind of a nomenclature that has been evolved today. It may continue. If there are more creative names, we can have a look at that. But for at least today, we call it KMC Alumni Connect. And Dr. Seema Joshi, because of the pioneering role she has played in it, she would be the staff coordinator of this group. We need a core group actually to lead any activity. And some students who have been helping us consistently with minor, major details and have been in the forefront are the ones who are being named as members of the Kinoraman College Alumni Group. It is my privilege. It is entirely my privilege. I feel honored to tell you that we have 8 students as members of this Kinoraman College Alumni Group. They are Dhuman Kumar, BCom Honors 2016 to 19, Nitesh Sisodia, BA Honors Economics 2016 to 19, Toshi Vashishta, BCom Honors 2016 to 19, Harshit Ahuja, BCom Honors 3rd year, Ritik Agarwal, BCom Honors 3rd year, Anisha Kalra, BCom Honors 3rd year, Abhimanyu Deswal, BCom Honors 3rd year. Now, this is the group that is going to lead everybody else. They are given the responsibility of widening and expanding the scope of this group. And I'm sure they are going to do a very good job of it and bring in lots of other discipline students into the fold of this group. It will not be fair if I don't mention names of a few present students of ours, some of them even in 1st year, who have worked very hard for us to see this day. And they are Adish, Aishwarya, Anurag, Shireen, Ayush, Prapti, and Nishkarsh. They have spent a great deal of effort on organizing this group. Now, since this, I've said this often enough that this is a fresh new program, a fresh new group, energetic students who are actually very busy. And they have invited a panel of our alumni who are also our 21st century alumni. And this panel is going to discuss the program of that is there today, and to do the group discussion on the issue of GDPI preparation and business school selection. Dr. Seema has already mentioned their names, but I would also personally like to welcome them, thank them for agreeing to speak to our students and indicating one of the paths of future profession. And these are Srita Arora, who is IIMA batch of 2020, Sakshi Aggawal, KMC batch 2018, who first did her BCom honors from KMC, and then IIM from Lucknow, Divya Surana, batch 2018, and who then went on to study at IIM Indore, Keshav Agarwal, who is actually, he's a very, very exceptional person. He, at this very young age, is an entrepreneur. And he got placed with Deloitte and under the audit, and later went to Singapore to complete his master's in management, but he decided to be his own master. And he is here to talk to us. So thank you very much. I could have said a lot because I am not just very happy, I feel fulfilled. I am also emotional at this moment because this is something, a day that is marked as something which I have waited for since I joined Kinoraman in 2018. So thank you very much for making this dream a reality, and very welcome once again. I wish you a very, very successful, enjoyable, useful and fruitful week of lectures, discussion, and we look forward to taking this ahead. Thank you.
I thank you, ma'am, on behalf. I thank you, ma'am, on behalf of us all present here to have graced the occasion and have officially welcomed our proud alumni. Your words were very kind. Taking the meet forward, I must now introduce our elevated guests. Starting with Srita Arora. Born and brought up in a small town, Shweta joined the BCom Honors course in order to understand how businesses work. During her stay in college, she was a part of Avenues, the placement cell of KMC, and also interned at multiple startups. Her inclination towards the field of marketing was the sole reason she prepared for CAT, scored 99.09 percentile, and got an admit from IIM Ahmedabad for its flagship PGP program. After she graduated from IIM Ahmedabad in 2020, she is currently working as a management trainee, sales and marketing at Mondelez International, and in her free time she likes to blog and create content on YouTube for CAT aspirants. Our next precious grad is Sakshi Aggawal. Sakshi Agarwal is a 2018 BCom Honours graduate from KMC. While at KMC, she was the president of ComSoc. Post that, she joined IIM Lucknow to pursue her MBA dream. Currently, she is working as an associate consultant at Bain and Company and has interned at Deutsche Bank. Even a rigorous MBA routine did not let her passion for extracurriculars take a seat back. At IIML, she was an active member of Consulting and Strategy Club, Dramatics Club, and even started her own entrepreneurial venture. In her free time, she loves to travel and cook. Moving forward, we have with us Divya Surana. Divya did her graduation in BCom Honours. During her stay in college, she was a part of the finance and investment cell, did a few internships, and participated in various inter-college competitions. After her graduation in 2018, she got admitted into IIM Indore. During her MBA, she interned at RBS in the Portfolio Management Division. She was also a member of Placement Preparation Committee and was a national finalist and campus winner in 5 case study competitions. Currently, she is working in PwC India as a consultant. She has also volunteered as a mentor to help current B school students. Her core interests lie in finance and strategy. And last but not the least, we have Keshav Agarwal. Currently working in a family owned business, Keshav is a highly motivated individual. After graduating from Kinoraman, he got placed with Deloitte under audit and later went to Singapore to complete his master's in management. His experience working as a consultant with StarHub, one of the biggest telecom giants in Singapore, and as an international mobility consultant with the German firm Continental Automotive is what enabled him with hands-on experience of applying problem-solving skills to the clients in the real world. Other than this, he also enjoys solving challenging business situations, organizing events, connecting with rising entrepreneurs, and traveling with a purpose. It is an honor and a once in a lifetime opportunity to hear from all of you. I welcome you all to this virtual platform of exchanging knowledge. With this, I now formally ask you to begin with our panel discussion. Thank you. Please take over the stage.
Hi, Nisha. Thank you so much for that introduction. And first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for this beautiful invitation. And I'd like to thank our principal ma'am initially that for her kind and wonderful words that she's given us today on the eve of Founders Day. It's actually, it can be marked as the beginning of a new chapter in the history of KMC, I believe. And like the first time Seema ma'am introduced this to us, and I was actually very happy and grateful, that we can actually get an opportunity to connect with even some of our own colleagues who we haven't met for, I don't know how many, 4-5 years now. So thank you so much to our principal ma'am and Seema ma'am for actually taking this great initiative of inviting us and making this session possible. Without your efforts, I'm sure this couldn't have happened, and with the efforts of your team, which is why I believe that we're all here today. And I hope that this session brings out the best of us and also the students, and whatever they are actually looking for. I hope that we all can actually share our all experiences today. So without any further delay, I think we should start the session now. And there are a few things that I'll just mention before we begin. So we are actually going to follow the session in a small procedure. So now Nitesh is going to actually shoot up a small questionnaire on your screen, which after going through all the questions that most of the students had, we picked that, okay, all your questions are basically falling into these 5 categories. So whichever of these aspects is most important for you in the session, we request you to please vote on that. And based on the most importance given to that particular aspect of the topic, we'll actually begin our panel discussion in that way. So just answer on your screens whatever is most important for you. And I think then we all can take over. Nitesh, just show out the results once you have them. Meanwhile, the results are coming out. If there is anything that the other panelists would want to share, then it's open. The floor is open.
Thanks, Keshav. I totally second your thoughts. I just wanted to take out the time to thank Principal Ma'am, thank Seema Ma'am, thank the entire community which organized this event. And I just wanted to share with everyone who's out there listening to this that we wish, all of us, and I believe all the other panelists would agree to this, that we wish something like this was there during our time. It would have definitely made a difference to the decisions we made. And I just hope that we are able to do the justice to the event which has been organized. So yeah, happy to be back.
Well,
So yeah, even I just want to add, like, I want to thank Seema ma'am, Vibha ma'am, because it's so overwhelming for now, because we have been there in the exact spot listening to you, because we were active on some events, and you have invited us over here. So it's really, really overwhelming for us. And yeah, I just thank you for giving us this opportunity so that we can interact with these people and guide them for the things I wish we knew when we were at that stage. So yeah. And also one more thing, if the audience can turn their videos on, I think it would be really interactive and an enjoyable session.
Yeah. I think nobody wants to listen about our life experience at B school.
I was also just checking that. Nobody's interested in life at a B school. It's probably the most fun out of all these.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, I think let's begin now. And so before we begin, I think if there are any questions that any of you have during the session or after that, or anytime, you can just interrupt and just voice out your question. And also you can feel free to just type it in the chat box if you're not comfortable speaking it out. So yeah, and like one of us can actually take over that question then. So without any delay, let's begin. So since most of you voted for interview preparation as the main aspect that you want to be covered in the session, so let me begin on that first. Maybe I think Shweta, you can start and share a bit more about what all areas should be covered in a GD and PI session when you go for an interview. I think that's the main query that most of the students have. And how do you actually begin preparing for the interview round? And other than that, you can also probably touch upon few specific questions that actually trouble the interviewees when they're actually sitting for the interviews of IIMs. I'm sure you must have gone through a lot of interviews.
I went through around, thank you, Keshav. Guys, I went through around 8 IIM interviews, including IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, Indore, and a couple of others. So the way I would suggest you to follow the interview preparation time period is by dividing it into two parts. So you should think about the value that you can add to the batch that you're going to join after getting into an IIM. This is one thing that I believe a lot of people don't consider while they start preparing for an interview, which makes a lot of difference. Think about it. When the professors who are actually the interview panelists are taking your interviews, what is it that they're looking for in you as an aspirant? There are only two things that they're looking for. One is the value that you can add to the batch once you join an IIM. And the second is that the value that you can add to the firm who is going to be recruiting at the IIM. So you have to consider the value that you can build in terms of an interest in a particular area, interest in a particular field, and then build your profile according to that. Now, the reason I am starting out with this instead of talking about the kind of questions that are asked in interview preparation is because most of the people, and in fact, I was also in the same place at KMC, we just start doing internships and we start, going through different courses out there in the hope that that is going to build our profile. But think about value that you are going to eventually add both to the firm as well as to the batch. So we follow a case methodology at the IIMs wherein there are different problems businesses are facing. And the professors invite us on the floor and they ask us to share our opinions and our knowledge on that very subject. So for example, we once had a case on coal industry, and there was a batchmate of mine who was very interested in the coal industry. He had no experience of working in the industry. However, he was the person who was known in our class to be from that industry or to be aware of that industry. And that's how he started adding value by sharing insights that no one in the class could. So think of that unique specialization, unique skill, unique value that you can bring onto the table and no one else can. So that's the first thing I would say. And in regards to interview preparation part, which is thinking of the kind of questions that can be asked, there are generally four kinds of questions. One is the introduction questions, then HRQs, that is HR questions, then academic space questions, and finally GK or current awareness based questions. The preparation strategy for all of them is essentially the same. For introduction and HRQs, you just have to take a note of the life events that were significant in your life and you would want to convert them into stories to be shared with the interviewers. In terms of academic space questions, I believe it's only important to cover your top 3 subjects or to cover the subjects that you believe are important in your course. For example, as a BCom honors student, accounting and taxation were very important for us. And for GK based questions, the preparation strategy is just going through the editorials and also having opinion on the recent topics that are out there. So this is regarding interview preparation, to be put briefly. And if you have something else that you would want to ask, you can put it down in the chat box and we can then take it up. Over to you, Keshav.
Thank you so much, Shweta. I think the points you raised are very, very important. And I believe that, value addition is something that all interviews will look for when you're actually going for an interview. And yeah, story building, of course, is one of the major parts that you need to have, because unless and until you're able to connect every aspect of your life with the story and why you actually want to get into that B school and how that's going to help you in building your further career. I mean, that those things are very, very important to be linked together for any interviewer to actually get you in. So other than that, I mean, yeah, I think it's also very important to actually have a very clear vision of what you want to achieve. If you have that very early with yourself, then that's always the best, because that's when the interviewer can actually look into you and say, all right, this is the thing that he actually wants to be, that's where he actually wants to be. And of course, this journey at IIM or any other B school is definitely going to help him build that. So I think that's good enough for interview. But if you have any other questions specific to interview, just feel free to voice them out or just type it in the chat box. And I think any of us can address. Sakshi or Divya, if you have any other comments on interview preparation, then please feel free to share them. Otherwise, we'll take it forward.
Yeah, I have just one more point. So when you're going for an interview, there are a couple of very basic HR questions, as Shweta mentioned, like tell me about yourself, why MBA, why this IIM, or a couple of very basic questions. So when you're appearing for an interview, whether it's your job interview or a B school interview, you should be very clear in your head, at least respect to these very basic questions. What are you thinking? How are you supposed to answer? And there is also a very fine balance between mugging them up and just knowing what you want to speak. So these minor things will enhance your communication skills as well. So when you're speaking, it will be very clear and fluent, and the person will understand what you're trying to speak. So one thing would be have this thing in your mind. Second would be your communication skills. Be very prudent about it and be very thorough with it. If you are a person who is slightly hesitant or who tends to get a cold nerve, so basically just practice in front of a mirror. Just be very thorough with it, because if you fumble or if you are under a stress. So if I tell about Lucknow has an extremely stressful interview. They tend to have a very stressful interview and they'll grill you to the next extent. So it's very important to maintain your calm and composure in that kind of a situation. So think about it. Think of all the questions that can be asked related to your academic portfolio, related to your internships, related to extracurriculars that you've done, and be very convincing about it. If you don't sound convincing, the thing won't come out. Suppose if I worked for the Commerce Society, I would be very convincing because I know I worked and how important was that for me. So you have to put that out in front. That was just my 2 cents. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a very, very valid point, that there are a few basic questions that, people generally get stuck with. Like one of the basic questions that the first time interviewer, will ask is, tell me about yourself. And that's a very, very common question, and still a lot of people get stuck. So if you are well prepared with that, I mean, that helps. And another thing that I faced during my interview was that you should be very well aware about the place that you come from, because that is something that, a lot of these schools also ask. Like, let's say if I'm coming from Delhi and I'm not aware about the history of Delhi or, the other aspects of Delhi, which are quite famous and which should be known, then probably it can be a challenge for me as well. So, I mean, that's another point that you can actually look into. And of course, the third point, as mentioned, I think confident, like coming out as a confident personality is one of the major things that, that the interview will look out at. I think when you're taking the interview of a person, you can easily make out whether the other person is not confident enough when he's coming out with his answers. And that's, I think, another criteria that they do use to choose students. I think there's a question from
The 2
Kalyani.
questions.
Yeah, okay. If asked about controversial issues going around in the country, what approach should one follow? should one be diplomatic or take one singular firm stand? Okay, who'd like to answer this?
Okay, I'll take this up. I would say initially you should try yourself not to get involved in such a situation because it can go either way. And second thing would be, if you're taking a stance, be diplomatic. You see, as a rational person, you should be aware of both the sides. If there's an issue, there are definitely two sides of it. You should keep your points related to both the sides. If X is doing this, Y is doing this, I think this thing can happen, but that should come in the end, your opinion. But you should be aware of both the sides, and you shouldn't be totally a leftist or totally a right-wing person. That would be my opinion. Be diplomatic, learn, read, and see what can you add and what are things happening from all the lenses.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you start out, probably you can take one stand, but you also need to cover the other aspect of that particular issue. So if you're just sticking to one particular thing and you're just sticking to one particular ideology or a stand, then it might be a problem for you.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question. And moving on to the next one, if asked about a comparison between two colleges, suppose which college would you choose between IMA versus L? Then how should we approach the answer? I think we have two students from me and L, they can better answer this.
I think the answer is very simple. Shweta, would you have chosen L? No.
See, this question would never be asked in an IIM Ahmedabad interview. So
Yeah.
most likely this will be asked in an IIM Lucknow interview, and you should never say that I'll choose IIM Ahmedabad in an IIM Lucknow interview. The answer would definitely be choosing IIM Lucknow. But the way you put across it is by mentioning what is something that's there in IIM Lucknow when it's not in IIM Ahmedabad. So the way you answer it is by sharing that there are some aspects to IIM Lucknow which excite me more than what IIM Ahmedabad does. As compared to, so you have to basically build a case wherein you're sharing what's good about IIM Lucknow and not talk a lot about IIM Ahmedabad. Another strategy to counter this question is by sharing that either your IIM Ahmedabad interview has not been scheduled yet or it went very bad. So that way also you can sort of save yourself thinking, you can probably say that I don't think I'll make to IIM Ahmedabad anyway. So that's another way to save yourself from this question, but use it only in case you have nothing else left to be put across. It can also backfire. Just put across what's good about IIM Lucknow in such a situation.
Yeah, great. All right. So let's move forward if there are no further questions. The second aspect that we will be covering now are CAT preparation. And I think Divya hasn't spoken at all. So I think it's time for you, Divya. It'll be great if you can share, like, how did you first choose about CAT and how did you go preparing for it? Then did you coach, or did you go for coaching, or did you go for self-studies? And how would you compare both of them? And why did you think of going for a job before MBA? I mean, if you can address those questions. Over to you, Divya.
Divya, you are on mute.
I think the video is stuck.
Sakshi, can you start with this one? I'll check with Divya and
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. On the CAT prep front, I had a campus placement offer. Yeah, I think Divya is back. You want to take that up, Divya?
Okay.
Mute.
You're muted. Nitesh, can you unmute her?
Like she has to unmute herself. Like I can not unmute her.
Okay.
Maybe another person can start and yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, Sakshi can start.
Good. Yeah. So on the cat prep front, I started taking coaching when I was in my third term. Yeah. On the question that whether coaching is important or not, first of all, let me address that. I joined in coaching because I thought it gives you a direction. It tells me, it gives me a focus point. It tells me like how much should I study. It give me basically a routine. That was my only point of joining a coaching, right? And if you feel that you shouldn't join it, it's totally fine. There is nothing very rocket science in that exam that you might it's very difficult to understand or that you might not know. It's not out of a rocket science. On that question of WorkX, I had a campus placement offer from EY. If it wouldn't have been like I had been selected for IIM Lucknow, I would have definitely gone for EY. Right. Now, going for a WorkX before an MBA or not, it's totally a personal choice. I have seen people who have worked for 2 3 years in the industry, got some good exposure, worked in a very decent startup in a very amazing role, learned all the industry insight, developed their personality, and then came to IIMs or to do their MBA. So they're both sides of it. If I like I definitely faced some struggles or some issues while I went as a fresher. Number one, I didn't have much of the industry exposure. I was too young. Like all my friends are just like 4 5 years older than me, right? So that is one point. Another thing is like people initially don't take you very seriously. That is a point, at least for first few weeks till the time they don't know you. And when you prove your mettle, then they realize, okay, you are something. That is one point. If you go after a work X, you understand the dynamics well. You know what you want from life. You understand how things are important for you, what is more valuable, and what kind of a role you want to go in. For me, I went in with a notion that I was very interested in finance. Right. I interned at a finance firm. I interned in investment banking at Deutsche Bank. But over the course, after working there, I realized that is not something that I like very much. Right. That is not the stream that I could be very happy about. It took me time. I had to waste my intern to realize that. If I had a work ex, I would have realized that earlier. But yeah, not the worst part. So then I moved on to consulting. So work ex gives you that advantage to understand what is good for you, what you like, and what you should pursue in future. Right. Next thing, coming on to cat prep. When should you start? What are the focus areas and things like that? It has 3 sections: VA, QA, and your LRDI. Right. VA is something that you learn over the period of time. It's not something कि आज करने बैठे हैं आ गया. It's not something like that. You develop it over the period of time. So at a very early age, I would say like start reading things, start reading books, start reading newspapers. That is even better. That would help you get an upper edge over the period of time. LRDI, practice. It's just a matter of practice. The more you practice, the more you understand the nuance. I used to love LRDI. It used to be a favorite subject since like childhood. I love solving problems. So that was very intuitive to me. I didn't have to work like very hard on it. So, and also there are very couple of tricks in LRDI, which coaching helps you understand. So that was one point over there. But there are n number of videos available online. The world has changed immensely and just take advantage of it. Right. QA, there are few concepts which you can easily cover, I guess, 2 months, and then it's all about practice. This whole exam cat, it's not about concepts, it's all about time management. How you take that pressure off your shoulders. That's what I feel. That was my experience personally. Other panelists could totally differ, right? It's more about how to time manage. And what teaches you is your mocks. I would say take as much as mocks as possible. I took around, I guess, 30 40 mocks at least. And not just taking mocks is important, but analyzing them to the core, understanding where you are wrong, understanding what you could have done, and what would have made the real difference out there. That is the most crucial part. If you're taking a mock, not analyzing it, that mock is a waste. That doesn't even count it for. Just understand, like while doing behavior, what is the mindset that you used, what is the mindset that the question paper setter has used. If there are a couple of questions, you understand what the type of questions that I'm weak in, what are the type of questions I should practice more. So things like that keep you going. So yeah, that was from my side. Anything, Divya, you want to add? Shweta, Keshav?
Yeah, Shweta, maybe you can go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, I think Divya is joining.
Yeah, Divya is back here.
Yeah, so I very well agree with what Sakshi has mentioned. So I also began my preparation in the fourth semester, and it is usually advisable to give sufficient time for preparing yourself for the CAT. At least start preparing before 6 to 6 months and 1 year before the actual CAT preparation, and focus on your sectional attempts. First of all, try to focus on improving the accuracy, and then try to focus on increasing the number of attempts. And just as Sakshi has mentioned, that you need to practice and give as many mocks as possible, but with that also you need to analyze it. So if you are not analyzing where you are getting wrong or which is your weak areas, then that mock is very useless. So practice as much as is possible and do analyze it with time, and devote equal time to all the sections. Uh, for verbal, I think reading newspapers and reading editorials and especially articles of different backgrounds, especially for a commerce graduates, uh, articles from science background or psychology. So reading that will help you a lot. And for cons, you need to be very cover up with your syllabus. So that's where you need to practice a lot. So anything more you can add on?
I think, yeah, practice is the key that I can take from both of you. And of course, we've also gone through that phase. So accuracy and practice is, of course, very, very important. And how you manage your time during that particular exams that you have. And other than that, of course, like it's an exam which is actually testing your patience and how you're actually going to manage everything. So maybe one strategy is not going to work for everyone. So you need to figure out what's working best for you. But I'm sure if you start early, you read enough and you practice well enough, then you'll know, like, you'll be at a good pace when you're actually near to the exam. Because what I've seen is that I also made a similar mistake, and I start my preparation quite later into the year, when the exam was quite near, about, I believe, 2-3 months before. And that's when you can actually not build your base of reading a lot. So if you start early, start to read as much as you can, since, most of you are from, I believe, economic background or a BCom or a commerce background. So you need to read on different articles, different topics, which are actually difficult for us initially to read, which might include topics on like psychology, science, as mentioned by Divya, and similar other topics. If you can read about history also, that'll be great. So there are a lot of such topics that if you can start reading early, that'll help you in when you're closer to the exam. And of course, LRD and quants require a lot of practice, which both of them have clearly mentioned. So I think these are the main things that should have been covered for this. I think Kuldeep has one question, and he says that I got called from IIM Kozhikode this year without any specific preparation for CAT. Should I join if I convert into it, or prepare for next term to be able to go for IIM ABC interviews? I'll graduate this year in May 2021. He's a physics honor student. Any suggestions, guys?
See, the choice has to depend on two things. First is that if you, let's say, decide to take CAT next year for better opportunities, what would you be doing in the year? Because if you've already prepared for CAT once, taking the gap just in order to prepare for CAT again would not be a good enough reason for that gap. So unless you have a good enough work experience or an opportunity to gain some experience, it would make lesser sense for you to drop. The choice of taking a drop is only, like, it's only justified when you can make use of that gap. So if you have a good enough work experience opportunity in front of you, then you can surely take it up, go into that field, explore, and meanwhile you can prepare for CAT for the next time. just think about how you're going to justify the time period before you take the next CAT exam.
Yep, correct. I think it's very important for you to decide what are you going to do in that year if you're planning to skip it. If you don't have anything good, then probably you should take this opportunity. Then I think Niharika and Aditya want to know about IPMAT from Divya. So they want to know if it's better to join IIM after 12th and do the integrated course, I believe the 5-year course, or MBA after graduation.
Okay. So, yeah, IIM Indore offers integrated programs. So the curriculum out there is very different what is being taught in Delhi University colleges. So the 3-year, like I would suggest that if you are aiming for integrated program course, do just have a look at the course outline, what they offer, because that is a more holistic way, and definitely that will be a foundation for you if you want to continue for MBA after that. So that will provide you a good opportunity. So, but looking for the course outline is what I would suggest to go you first, because the course is it's known as BA foundation courses. So if you want to continue after that, like after 12th, you want to do something specific for BA foundations, in which they teach subjects ranging from statistics, psychology, and accounting. So definitely you can consider an option of integrated programs. Definitely the course structure that they have is more or less similar to what we are being taught in MBA. So definitely if you go for that, you will have a more familiarity about the way MBA structure works.
Yeah.
But on the other side, like if you go for colleges courses here, such as BCom honors or any other courses, so you have other exposures also. So I think that.
Yep. But I believe that all of us sitting here are part of KMC now. So we'll be planning for an MBA only after this. So moving forward, I think we've talked enough about the CAT preparation and the interview bit. Let's talk slightly.
Keshav, I think we missed out on a question. I think there's a
Okay.
question by Ayush on the chat that if he's pursuing BSc Physics honors and wants to pursue MBA after graduation, what are the challenges he can face because of
Yep.
not being from a commerce background, and what are the steps that should be taken?
Yeah. Nonengineer.com. Would you take it over?
Okay. So Ayush, it doesn't really matter which course you come from. The interviewers are not going to expect you to know about the field that you're joining. So if you're applying for an MBA program, they don't expect you to already be aware of finance or accounting or MBA or HR or all those things. You will only be expected to know about your own academic background, that is BSc Physics, right? In your case. So you should know your academic background and the courses and the concepts from your academic background. Apart from that, you should have an inclination, interest, or the ability to understand the subjects that are taught at an MBA. And how do you prove that you are good enough to learn that? By probably taking up some courses in finance or in accounting or any field that interests you. Probably you would want to pursue it after doing your MBA. And once you pursue courses in those areas, let's say online courses, you can show to the interviewers that I have an interest towards that field. I don't know a lot about it already, but at least I'm interested in learning about it. So the only thing that they're trying to test over there is, are you good enough from your particular academic background, and are you able to grasp the concepts of the background that you're going to enter? So that should be okay. You don't need to already be aware of all the accounting concepts or the ratios and everything. You don't need that.
Yeah. I think IIMs they've also increased their diverse pool of candidates that they're planning to hire every year. So it's no more a restricted criteria, that you need to be from a commerce background or any other specific background to be into that. I think there are a lot of questions that are coming in now. We can take them over simultaneously, but I think we should move on to the next topic as well that we're talking about is jobs and career opportunities. So we have people here from who are actually working into big MNCs now, who are into consulting background and marketing background. So if you can start sharing a bit about yourself and how your career path has been right after your B school, and what are some of the different challenges that you're facing right now, and what are some aspects that you're enjoying right now. I think maybe Sakshi, you can talk a bit about it.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So number one question, I already told you guys that why I switched from finance, because I realized that it's something that is not working out for me. And that was a purely personal choice. The reason being, I always wanted to learn more about the industry, how does a particular industry work, and to understand the core business foundation. How does a business work? What are the revenue drivers, cost drivers? How is it all implemented in practicality? Which that job wasn't giving me. So I decided to switch. I came to consulting. So for those of you know what is actually consulting, it's basically where you advise your top MNCs, your top large companies, and even startups for that matter. They come up with a problem and you advise them how to go about it, right? So that is what the major core type of an industry is. So I joined that industry because I would be given the opportunity to work on different sectors. Like I've already worked on a consumer durable client. I know a lot about durable industry. I know where TVs are coming from. What is the import duty over there? I know what are commercial refrigerators. I know what are commercial ACs, right? So I, within 3 months of working on that case, I have a strong grasp on that industry. That's what differentiates consulting for me personally. Now I'm working on private equity sector, which is totally a different space. So within a 5 months of being in my company, I have worked on totally different aspects, and I can very well say that I know that industry well and I can speak about it, right? So that's what made the distinguish. That was a distinguishing factor for me. Uh, Now in terms of consulting seem exciting. It's all a fancy lifestyle. You get to travel a lot. At least we were supposed to before COVID. But yeah, you get to travel a lot. The work is very interesting, but it all boils down to number of working hours. There hasn't, and it's just the nature of industry, not just related to my firm, but the nature of industry. There hasn't been a single day when I had got off before 12 a.m. So it's like 10 to 12, it's a minimum thing for me. And it can extend up to 18 hours or 20 hours. It can go anyway. So that is just the nature of industry. And while joining something, you should be prepared about it. I don't mind it because I love the work. I love working over there. So if you are joining a particular industry, you should weigh its pros and cons. Pros, you get to know a lot of industries, you get to travel a lot, you get to meet a lot of people, fancy lifestyle. Cons, you don't have a life, to be very honest. So yeah, so whenever you're entering an industry, just be aware of what are your expectations and how does the job align to your expectations. That was it.
Okay. Like you also mentioned about you did your internship in finance with Deutsche Bank, and then you did not like finance. So how did you get into consulting, and how did you figure that out? That okay, finance is not my thing, but consulting is.
Yeah, as I told, my expectation after doing MBA, in fact, from MBA is like, I want to start something on my own. And finance is not something through which I can do that. It doesn't give me the wholesome knowledge of an industry. It doesn't give me an idea of the root problems that a company might face. That was missing. And it wasn't very satisfactory for me. And it was a very personal choice on my front. So yeah, and how I joined into consulting. Okay, so B schools have this crazy placement thing that we have day zeros, day one, and firms are bifurcated on the basis of that, right? So mostly finance and consulting firms are day zero firms, and day one is your marketing firms. So personally, I am a very scared kind of a person. Going into a day one was very scary for me. I know I have to, and consulting aligned with my roles. And I know I want to do that. I was a person who was very interested in general management roles, but I couldn't take that risk of going to day one. So I know it was consulting for me, and hands down, it was consulting for me. And getting in such a reputed firm is also a very difficult job given the competition that we have at B schools. It's immense. It's immense. So yeah.
Right. So how many people from your batch were hired into Bain? If you
7.
know.
Yeah.
Shweta, do you want to share a bit about your experience with Mondelez and how did you decide marketing as your career?
Yeah, sure. So, marketing for me, I think I had some bit of interest in marketing from college days itself. So, I used to love watching advertisements online. So, that's where the interest really started. But, like Sakshi mentioned, the competition and the environment at a B school always compels you to think about the herd mentality. And generally, the herd mentality on campuses is to go for consulting. Like, it's the dream job for everyone. So once you start getting shortlists from various firms during your internship process, you really get confused about your own priorities. That's what happened with me also. I got a shortlist from McKinsey and Company, um, which is supposed to be one of the best firms in the consulting area. Now, what ended up happening was that since I had a McKinsey shortlist, everyone really wanted me to sit in the C1 process, which is the consulting and finance process. But that entire interest towards marketing, since like Sakshi has already mentioned as well, you only get one chance to test out your interest during the internship process if you're a fresher. And if I had gone for consulting and I had not liked it, it was less likely for me to enter into marketing in the finals because not a lot of FMCGs hire from on campus. Generally, they hire from the summers process itself. They give out PPOs to you. So after a lot of deliberation, I attended the consulting dinners. I attended the events that were organized by a lot of consulting firms. And I realized, for all the reasons that Sakshi mentioned, that I probably am not a fit for the industry. And I would rather want to explore my interest in marketing itself. That's when I sat for the marketing firms. I did not sit for any finance or consulting firm despite the shortlists. And I got into Mondelez International, which is also popularly known as Cadbury. So that's where I'm working right now as a management trainee. And a lot of people don't really know what management trainees are. That's just a term used for someone who's trying to understand how sales and marketing works within Mondelez. So essentially, like an FMCG distributes the products from its warehouse to the core market, right? So how that entire process works, what's the hierarchy, everything is what I'm learning right now in my first year. And after the first year, I'll be an area sales manager, which essentially is managing the entire hierarchy of people who are involved in distribution of the products. And after about 2 years of experience into sales, I'll switch to marketing, which then would lead me to becoming a brand manager. So all the brands that you see, the campaigns that you see, how the strategies are designed, the promotional schemes that are out there, all those sorts of decisions are then taken at a managerial level or a brand manager level. So this is essentially what marketing is. This is the traditional marketing route. There's another marketing route which you can take up, which is the digital marketing route, and it's becoming very popular these days, especially now. So a lot of startups have now started coming to B schools in order to hire digital consultants or digital marketers. So that's another exciting area that you can probably explore. But one thing that I would like to put across for someone who's interested in marketing, and I wish I could share that with my mother when she used to worry about me as a child. She was like, sales means door to door selling. And that's the popular notion that people attach to marketing. That's not true at all. In your entire marketing career, if you are an MBA graduate, you would not be required to go to any shop and sell anything. So that's what I can give you in writing for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but what people usually say is that door to door is still the most effective means of selling, right? All right. So I think there are a lot more questions coming up on in terms of building your profile now. So maybe we can switch over and talk a bit about how can you actually build your profile when you're in college and when you are at your B school. So there's one question that we also have, I think, from Salim here, who says that internships coming in college and online courses like fundamental digital marketing are something which can add value to our profile, or should we not put attention on these things? So I think one of you can share a bit more about how we should start building our profile at college level and then at our B school level. Maybe Divya, do you want to start this first?
Yeah, definitely. So, when it comes to building your profile in your undergrad college, so if you are aiming for MBA specifically, I will mention, do focus on your academics. Academics do plays an important role in getting you shortlist and otherwise also in further in MBA also. So for placements also, academics do plays an important role, especially if you are looking for finance or consulting domain specialization. Other than that, uh, in your undergrad college, I think could have you could have done a good one or two internships. So basically, the main focus of the doing internship should be it should add value to your personal growth. It should add value. You should be learning something. Doing internship just for sake of putting it on your resume doesn't work. You should be confident, you should be convincing enough to talk about it. So that's the essence of having an internship, doing an internship. Other than that, you can also explore case study competitions which are being organized at inter college level. And I think various B schools also open up case competitions for undergrad colleges such as IIM Ahmedabad and FMS. So you could really, if you are very interested in participating in that, so that's a good opportunity. Plus, it's give you a really good talking point to talk about in your interviews and share your experience out there. Other than that, I think having an exposure in clubs and committees also help you develop your interpersonal skills and communication skills out there because you interact with a lot of stakeholders and you take ownership of the things which you are doing. So in terms of this is broadly what you can go for when you are preparing your resume, building your profile in an undergrad college. Other than this, if specifically asked for B schools, so usually profile building is more specific to the specialization you are aiming for. So for marketing roles profiles, I think they focus more on your position of responsibilities which you have held. So that's the more focus area. For finance and strategies, uh, academic results, and your internship, your work experience do count for it. So according to this specializations, you can prepare your build your resume according to it.
Yes. Also, like I'd like to add in a bit here. If you are, especially if you do not have any kind of work experience, and when you're sitting for interviews, then it's very important to, like, it'll be a challenge for most of you to actually have a good profile to show to the interviewers, because you don't really have any work experience. So, and you're actually comparing and sitting against those students who have a good amount of work experience as well. So if you have actually done something like, there are a lot of students who actually sit for start giving their CA exams, I think the basic ones as well, and they go on to clear their IPCC as well. And then if you sit for an MBA exam, then probably that is something that can add value if, let's say, you're looking for specializing into finance, or if you've done any other kind of course during your uh, during the course of your college itself, apart from preparing for CAT and your normal course, then I mean those things are something that can as well add value if you do not have any work experience. So you have to try and think out ways of how you can actually put for put forth in your profile that can actually lead to a specific specialization probably that you might be planning. Or if you do not have any plan for specialization, then you need to have sufficient evidence to show that, okay, fine, even though you do not have any kind of work experience, but you are a good and genuine candidate who should be considered apart from others. Anything else, Shweta and Sakshi, if you want to add? I'll just have a look at the questions.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, if you're looking at case competitions for profile building or doing something out of the box, just I didn't know about this when I was at KMC. Just check out Dare to Compete. It has all the case competitions listed, and you'll get an immensely good opportunity to be a part of them. I didn't know when I was at KMC, so just putting it out there. Yeah.
There's another question that I think Anisha wants to ask regarding virtual internships are highly trending these days. Do you encourage them, and how do you think that can actually add value to your profile? Well, there's one virtual internship that I actually went through when I was preparing for my CAT exam as well. So it actually depends on what kind of internship that you're doing. If it's something that's related to what you're targeting, let's say if you're looking at a marketing major in your B school, and then if you are doing a marketing related virtual internship as well, and probably the value of the internship is good, then that is something that you can also speak about during the interview. It's basically about how you can bring forth any of your learnings or experiences into stories and words when you're sitting in an interview. But I think majorly when they're actually shortlisting after your CAT results for an interview, they usually check your grades and not exactly what you've done inside the college, if I'm right. I think Shweta and Sakshi can attest to that.
If you're appearing for your summer placements or your final placements, they do look like what have you done in your undergrad in terms of your internships, in terms of your POR. And if you have some good reputed companies listed on your CV, I would say when are you talking, when you're talking about these highly trending internships, are you talking about those virtual internships like KPMG virtual internship or XX virtual internship, something like that?
Yes, I'm talking about those like BCG and even KPMG. These
Got
certificates are depending on LinkedIn also. Like every
Yeah.
other putting, because it's just a matter of like 30 minutes. You answer the MCQs and you get a certificate. So
So you
does that?
exactly. So even you said that it's just a matter of 30 minutes. How can you actually compare it with a real internship? It's just a point of getting a certificate. That's it. Like, is it adding to your knowledge? No. And is it like a very distinguishing factor in your CV because hundreds of people have it? No. So it can add immense value? No. So that is the point. If you're doing something, just do it. But do not expect it to add like a very differentiating factor, because even like thousands of people have done that. So it can be just used as a CV filler, like as a line filler in your CV, and that's how we term certain things. That's what my opinion about them. But when it comes to like selection in your summer placements or your final placements, they do look at what have you done in your life over the course of time. Suppose let's say, if I go bucket by bucket, if you have some decent interns, suppose you have interned at a big four or a very good company, that counts. Even if you have done virtual internships, that shows your interest about something and what do you want to do in life, right? If you want to talk about PORs are necessary because they show how outspoken as a person, how much you like to interact with people. They expect these minor things from you. For example, a very random example, I thought that I was the president of council, so that would be like a distinguishing factor. But I went out there and I realized that almost everyone was a president or a core committee member of every society in their undergrad. And especially when you're competing with the IITs, they have 1,000 societies in their college and they have joined probably 10 of them, right? So they have 10 societies listed in their CV, while we have like 4-5 in our entire college. So that's what the distinguishing factor is. So at least then PORs or being a part of society become a basic thing. And if you're not part of college society, you can be a part of an NGO. You can be a part of any foundation that you're very attached to, or if it's adding some, or it's valuable to you, right? Then it comes to your extracurriculars. If you have done something immensely very good, like you're a national player or you're a state level player, mind blowing. They really appreciate that. So while your CV is getting shortlisted, depending on the domain, all these things have value. If I talk about consult, every bucket has a value. And if you have as they term it, a spike in a bucket, it matters. You need to have a wholesome profile. You need to be throughout present. And don't even ever think about taking your academics lightly. I don't know why we have this notion, just get a 7-pointer or don't study, it doesn't matter, classes mat attend karo, don't take your internal seriously. Do not ever get into that. Academics is very important. It is indeed, because that's the first thing a person looks at in your CV. And it's going to help you wherever you go, wherever. Yeah.
Correct. There's another question I think that the others can address. I am not selected in college societies, so should I focus on internship which are offered in the college or participate in societies the next time? I think Shweta, you could take this up. You were part of placement cell 1 year and not part of it another year, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like Sakshi mentioned, na, think about it from two lenses. As long as it's concerned, as long as it's about MBA interviews, you really can't put any of these in your interview form. None of your internships, PORs, nothing is going to go in there in most of your interview forms because they don't really consider it to be experience enough. So experience for them is only after graduation. So all these things that you do within college go into your CV after getting into an IIM or a B school. So whatever you are planning to do, think of the different buckets first. For example, college societies falls into the PORs bucket, whereas the internships fall into the WorkX bucket. As a fresher, for you, it's important to have an internship because otherwise your entire WorkX bucket will go empty. And similarly, on the other hand, if you want to do a POR and you don't have the option of getting into a college society, a good alternative would be to volunteer at an NGO because that can also be a POR. But the same cannot be called, let's say, an extracurricular activity or an internship. So what I would recommend you to do is, first of all, make that entire chart of your CV, having all those buckets sorted, co-curricular activities, extracurricular activities, PORs, internships and work experience. Once you have those buckets sorted, then you think of the different activities that you can pursue in each and every bucket so that your CV is balanced. When you get into a B school, one of the biggest issues people face is that some of their buckets are very heavy, whereas some buckets have only 1 or 2 points to be put. That CV would not look as good as compared to a balanced CV with a couple of points in each and every bucket. So think about it from those lines. And to answer your question, if you don't have the option of getting into a college society this year, it would be better for you to volunteer at some other organization outside of campus, which you can call as a POR, as a position of responsibility, and NGOs generally offer such opportunities. So it's better than doing an internship. You can surely do an internship as well, but that will go in your work ex bucket.
So I think that's all for profile building, and I think no one wants to listen to us about our life at B school. So we can move forward to any of the questions that students have. And I'll actually start looking at the questions that we've missed, and then we can take them over.
So before that, can I just ask one question? I mean, it's just a fundamental
go
one.
ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, moving away from academics, so I like networking is very important in the business world, right? And I've been to just too many events. Like I have a shoebox full of cards, but I don't think that's effective. So what would be your golden advice to a fresher who's looking forward to network? I mean, genuinely with people, because
I think
collecting
yes,
cards
go
is
on.
not just enough. I mean, I have a shoebox full of cards, but that didn't get me anywhere. So I mean, how do I build genuine relations with people for the long run? I mean,
Okay, maybe I'll take up this question because when I went for my master's in Singapore, that's what I used to do day in and day out. So I think it's very important. Like when you meet people for the first time, it's fine. Like you get to know them and they get to know you, and you exchange your cards. But that's kind of a very formal conversational thing that happens. But when you actually invite them for a personal coffee chat, or when you actually follow up with them on something, that's when you are able to actually build a personal relationship with them. So I mean, we also used to have a lot of events almost every other day, and you go in and you meet like a lot of people out there. So, but what the most important thing to maintain your contact is that you need to follow up with them. You can just invite them for a coffee chat, or any other, let's say even a Zoom session now, you can do that. That's very easy and convenient for you. So if you can just do that, sit with them, gain their experience, talk to them about what they're doing, how their journey has been, and or even maybe ask for an advice. I think these days, if you talk to any of these people that you network with, they're very, very much willing to give any kind of advice. And if you can just ask for a small, counseling session with them, or ask them to help you figure your career goals and paths, then I think that's how you can personally connect with them. And when the time comes, who you never know, they might be beneficial to you, or you might be beneficial to them as well. So it's very important to carry forward and continue that relationship, and not just keep it to that day that you when you meet them.
Oh, I understand. Thanks a
Fine.
lot.
And I would just like to add a point to what Keshav said. It's very important what he said, following up. And I think a good starting point is reaching out to your current third year batch, which is about to graduate. That's the best source for you to network. I see a lot of people reaching out on LinkedIn and sending requests. I don't think that's what networking is. If you reach out to the batch that's about to graduate and you discuss with them how they prepared for their placements, or even when they join the firm, you ask about their experiences, exactly what Keshav was talking about following up. When you do that, that increases your chances of getting more opportunities later. For example, we used to have Kapil was one of our third years when I was in college in first year. And when he was in his final year, he was contemplating whether he would want to get into nearby as a firm or not. And when he entered and we stayed in touch, we used to talk about how nearby is and the kind of opportunities they offer. Once I was in placement cell in the second year, we reached out to him in order to get sponsorship from nearby. We reached out to him in order to get internship for our college. That's what networking is all about. When you stay in touch and when you follow up, and then you get more opportunities for yourself and for the rest of your batch. So yeah, I think following up is important, but a good starting point can be reaching out to your third year batch.
Yeah, I think adding to that, alumni is another thing that I think KMC has started now, so that should carry forward. I believe the more you can connect with your recent alumni, the better it is, and of course they can keep on sharing their experiences. And I believe that's something that can help going forward as well for you. And okay, so Anurag says that can we also talk about our life at these schools? So people do want to hear about that. Divya, would you want to start this one?
Yeah, sure. So my life at IIM Indore was full of roller coaster ride. Like it was hectic, it was stressful, but it was also enjoyable. And like there were times I was working late in the nights, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. But the other days were also that I was uh, enjoying and like chit chatting with my friends out there, going out with them, enjoying the campus life, roaming around the campus. So it's like it's a very memorable journey you would be having there. Uh, do take out time for yourself, but do whatever you enjoy. So don't leave anything in the bucket list. Take it, everything, be it like part of any committee or club, or doing any case competitions, or going for your foreign exchange program. Anything which you wish to do, complete that in your 2 years journey. That's what I would like to say.
Yes, I totally second to it. Like, it's very important to make the most of these 2 years that you're going to get. And of course, how you're going to manage your time in these 2 years is, of course, going to show how you're going to manage companies in the future as well. So just make sure that, whatever time you have, you're able to bring out the best in yourself, and you're able to actually devote time to those things that you wanted to. And there's going to be a lot of events, a lot of things that are going to happen at the same time in any B school that you go to. So it's on you, and you need to make the call on how you want to spend that time that you have in that B school into grooming yourself into whatever career or whatever space or industry you want to go into. Shweta and Sakshi, if there's anything you guys want to add.
Yeah, I would just say that were perhaps the 2 best years of my life that I spent at B school. Most memorable in every aspect. You're working till 2 a.m. in the night, then you're sitting at your friend's room, and then you're just chilling. And that was every day. And the kind of the amount of work you used to in a day, na, you yourself surprised at yourself. Okay, I did these many things in one single day. How's it even possible? So it's totally a roller coaster ride, but it's so enjoyable, so memorable that you just want to relive it again. And if given a chance, I would give up for it. I just want to go back again and just have the best time again. So again, it's all about just meeting the people who are at same mental level as yours, making friends, sharing experiences, and you meet so many different personalities, right? People with so many different backgrounds. I have a friend who had worked at Oman for 3 years. Imagine the kind of experience he has. I have a friend who has rode bicycle from Kanyakumari till Vietnam or things like that, right? So there are such different personalities. You get to learn a lot, absorb a lot, listen to their experiences, build memories. And yeah, but this all is supposed to be done while you're while you're being good at your academics. You don't lose your focus on your daily curriculum. You go through your case books and whatever, and you focus on your placements. You focus on your extracurriculars, but have fun while being there. Yeah.
Correct. Anything, Shweta, you want to add on?
Yeah, it's just with Sakshi was sharing now. I just remembered a time that we had on campus. There was some assignment that came up all of a sudden. So our assignments are generally not pre-announced. You suddenly get a message from your professor that there's an assignment, and there'll be another message popping up just the next moment that there's a quiz as well. So then you have your entire day charted out that now I'm not going to get enough sleep. So a couple of friends just made a plan one day that today we are not going to sleep at all. So we finished our assignment work till 3 a.m. and after 3 a.m. we went to LKP. So at IIM Ahmedabad, there's this place called LKP, which is kind of like a popular place there. So we sat over there and we spent the 4 or 5 hours that we had left for our classes to begin just chilling out. And that entire day for about 48 hours we did not sleep. Like for 2 days straight we did not sleep. And so yeah, when I recall all those times, I feel like that's probably the best part of a B school life. It trains you to be, to be able to manage any challenge in life. We used to have this popular saying on campus कि यहाँ से graduate हो गए ना तो कुछ भी संभाल लोगे life में. So I think yeah,
That is
the most
indeed very true.
the most memorable part of our lives. Yeah.
Correct. Awesome. So let's move on, and I'll take over some of the remaining questions that are left. From start, I think there was one question we missed from Ritik. If in an interview they ask, what are the calls do you have, then should we tell them about it? Who would want to answer that?
Yeah, I think tell them about it because anyway they would know. They would be aware
Yeah.
about your percentile or about your academic marks, so they can very well judge. So there's no point lying at all.
Yeah, perfect. And do internship and Vertex matter when it comes to selection in IIMs? I think that's already been answered. Vertex does matter, but I think minimum of 1 year. And internships don't really are not really counted to the part that you're shortlisted for the interview. Then, which specialization is the best? Marketing, HR, finance for an outspoken person? I think that's a very personal choice that you need to look into. And I think it's important for you to understand where your tilt is right now. And you need to, I think it's not just about right now, but as like there are a lot of people who also understand what specialization is good for them after a point in time. Like for me, how it was that I used to feel that I should go into marketing. But when I went for my master's and I actually went through the first year of it, and went through all the courses, I realized that all right, marketing is not right for me. I'm probably more of an operations guy. So sometimes when you're into that, you get to know. But if you're able to figure that out initially, that's even better, because like as Sakshi did, she felt that she's good into finance, and that's what she wanted to try out. So she started to build her base from initially like through KMC itself into finance, and then she went to it. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to touch upon?
Keshav, can we take the last, like any two last questions so we can wind up the session?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
Also, one more thing, there was a question as to how how can a student evaluate as to which company is offering better internships during the college life. So one can be that, and one you can choose on your own. The questions. There was a question in the chat box.
How to actually evaluate any company that is the internship offered is valuable or not. I think one factor is like, as Sakshi previously mentioned, if you're doing like a 30-minute online internship, then probably that's not adding much value to your profile. And also, like, if supposedly that you want to get into a finance profile, and you're being offered a marketing internship, even probably from one of the best companies, it might not add much value later on. So I think these things need to be figured out. Anything else that you guys want to add?
I think generally in case of internships, if you're applying from Internshala or somewhere else, they specify the kind of roles and responsibilities you'll be taking charge of. And once you get a shortlist from them, it's always best to talk with the HR or with the concerned manager and ask them what exactly your role is going to be. And only once you're convinced that it's going to be value additive is when you join that organization. Now, when it comes to deciding whether it's value additive or not, you should see what is it that you would want to do after getting into a B school or maybe after that. And if it aligns with whatever you would want to do, then it's value additive, otherwise, it's not. And sometimes it's only taking a leap of faith and trying out things that you figure out how things are. For example, in my first year, I took up a lot of those kind of internships. You might have seen people asking you to like, share, and do all those things with the virtual marketing internships. Wherein I felt like I didn't sign up for this. But then when I realized that that's what the work is, I tried to like use that opportunity to organize a contest and to drive more engagement on their social media platforms. I got an access from them, from their social media ka backend pages ka access le liya, did all those sorts of things just in order to make the most of the opportunity. So there'll be some cases wherein you sign up for something else and you get something else, but then you have to make the most of whatever you get and see कि उस situation में क्या कर सकते हो.
Okay.
I guess it's time to conclude the session, and I would now like to invite Toshi Vashisht to present the vote of thanks. Toshi, please take on the stage.
Thank you so much, Anisha. On behalf of Kinoraman Alumni Network, I take this opportunity to extend hearty vote of thanks to our speakers, Sakshi, Shweta, Divya, and Keshav, who spared time from their busy schedules. Today, we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this will surely be going to help us in our future events. Your thoughts have indeed shown us a path to follow. Once again, my gratitude to all the speakers for gracing this occasion and sharing your experiences. You truly are KMC's young achievers. We have been fortunate to be assisted by our principal ma'am, Professor Vibha Chauhan. Ma'am, you have been a constant support and catalyst who helped us to do our best. You have given us a lot of encouragement at every single step. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank our staff coordinator, Dr. Seema Joshi, ma'am, who has been the reason behind the planning, conceptualizing, and execution of this discussion today. I am short of words for her involvement and her willingness to take on the completion of tasks. I would like to thank ma'am for her untiring efforts and being a pillar of strength always. I would like to thank the entire team of Alumni Network for being so proactive, so dedicated, and always ready to take up any task. You guys are every reason for smooth execution of this discussion. I would also like to thank the people who worked behind the scene to make this discussion happen, our technical team, our college administration team for their cooperation. Last but not least, I would like to thank the audience and faculty members for showing their interest in this discussion and being so engaging. I once again thank everyone for making this event successful, hoping to see you all in our future events. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.